Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to the end of a long, harsh, partisan, politicized campaign unprecedented in American history. I am not talking about the recent election. No, we are finally at the end of the Obama administration's 8-year assault on Kentucky's and America's coal industry. In 2 terms, President Obama's policies have successfully put thousands of coal miners and utility workers into the unemployment line. In 2008, then-candidate Obama pledged that any company looking to build a coal-powered electric plant would be bankrupted. The combined regulations of the EPA, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Office of Surface Mining, and several other bureaucracies have made that pledge into a reality, choking off investment in new state-of-the-art, clean-burning coal-fired electric generation. And it led to the premature closing of existing plants. If we continue on this path, the other promise made by candidate Obama will also come to pass. Electricity rates will necessarily skyrocket. And that would be a disaster for consumers, for whom energy prices are often the 2nd or 3rd largest line item in the family budget. I also think about industrial consumers and the many manufacturers in my district and around the nation who depend on affordable, reliable energy that will face skyrocketing costs if we fail to act and reverse these administration policies. But it's a new day, and voters, particularly in the Rust Belt and Appalachia, turned out in November to close the book on this legacy of job-killing regulation and seek a new path forward. President Obama said that elections have consequences, and this is true, but his administration ignored every electoral outcome since 2010, doubling down on failed policies while the American people called for a different approach. The inverse is also true. Consequences drive elections, and the consequences of the Obama administration's unilateral decisions decided last November's election. And no place in this country felt those consequences as acutely as coal country. National coal production is at its lowest level in 35 years. Pike County, the long-leading coal producer in Kentucky until losing that title in 2012, is down 89% since its peak in 1996. Nationwide consumption of coal has dropped nearly 1/3 since 2007. In Kentucky, coal employment hit its lowest level in 118 years. To repeat, coal employment in Kentucky is now at its lowest level since 1898. In 2009, 18,850 people were employed by coal. About 73,000 jobs were indirectly supported by that economic activity. Today, only about 6,500 Kentuckians now work in the coal fields, and those losses have rippled throughout the economy. And yet, this is the legacy that this administration will earn as it leaves office. Never in the history of our country has an administration singled out and targeted a lawful industry, in this case an industry that has provided jobs and opportunities for American workers for generations, an industry that has literally powered America, and through that overregulation, crushed an entire sector of our economy. Now, Obama administration apologists will say that depletion in Appalachian coal fields and new competition from natural gas are primary factors in these job losses, but they don't give the regulators enough credit. The turnaround in natural gas production on state and private lands has been dramatic, to be sure, but relative price parity with coal does not explain 2/3 of mining jobs in Kentucky disappearing in 7 years. The administration has targeted coal supply and demand, prohibiting production leases, rejecting mining permit applications, stretching the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts against congressional intent, prohibiting new and existing plants from using coal. The list goes on and on. Many of these rules have been halted or overturned by the courts, and several more remain subject to challenge by the states and the industry. But since the president could not get Congress's support for his agenda of banning the production and use of coal, most of these regulations can be unwound by the courts or the next administration. I urge the incoming Trump administration to do just that, and to engage with Congress in a bipartisan fashion on our nation's energy and environmental policies. The livelihood of people in the coal fields, of those working in manufacturing and the rail industries, of families who are trying to keep their homes warm or their lights on must never again be the collateral damage in partisan warfare. And I must address the issue of climate change. Let the last 8 years serve as a lesson to all of us. Let's never again attempt to solve problems through central planning by punishing innocent Americans whose paychecks put food on their table. Instead, let's address problems like climate change the American way, not through central planning or government, but through innovation, science, technology. And while it will be a tough road back for coal country, and it may never be the same after 8 years of regulatory attack, I do look forward to a new day dawning in the coal fields. I yield back the balance.